Oh boy, we are in for quite the ride today, folks, as I will finally be sharing my thoughts on Finding Dory, the film that was probably the biggest surprise of 2016, but it was for the better, as I absolutely loved the film when it first came out. And even after this latest rewatch, it's still an absolute blast 10 years later. Okay, it's not as incredible as Toy Story 2, but for being the second of the modern sequels, this was such a phenomenal adventure from start to finish, musically, graphically, and story-wise. First off, I want to start by saying that the animation in this film is absolutely gorgeous. Like, the sceneries in the first movie were already stunning for 2003 standards, but dear lord, the graphics have come such a long way that it makes Finding Nemo look like Mario Kart 64 in comparison. Everything from the lighting in the daytime and nighttime shots, to the pipe scenes, and even the scenes on the surface in the human part look stunning to look at. This is some of the most beautiful animation we have seen in a Pixar film up until this point. And I'm gonna give my hot take of the day. Well, yes, this is another case of the cartoony character designs clashing with realistic environment scenario, which, you know how I felt about that with the last movie. I actually think that this film, as well as the next one, pull off that element really well. I know someone on my DeviantArt account pointed out, oh, there's fur now when fish just don't have fur. Well, on rewatch, I couldn't even tell. It's completely seamless. And the music, God, it's phenomenal. I almost shedded a tear from the music alone in certain scenes. Thomas Newman really outdid himself this time around. And I know I haven't really talked about the voice acting all that much because, let's be honest, there's not much on it that hasn't been said by literally everyone else, but I really love the new voice for Nemo. Given that he was on the poster before the film was even released, I think it was going to be obvious that Alexander Gould wasn't going to reprise his role as the guy. Yeah, he is in the film as a cameo character, but not as Nemo. But I can't deny that Hayden Rollins was a fantastic choice for Nemo's new VA in this film. Albert Brooks and Ellen DeGeneres though return, and they do an amazing job as their respective characters as always. And after hearing Idris Elba's voice as Knuckles in the Sonic movie series, it really felt surreal hearing his voice in this movie, as well as the sea lions who helps Marlin and Nemo. And all the new characters are really fun, and breathe some new life into the franchise as a whole. Hank is one of my favorites though. I love the charm he has, and he has a goal to go to Cleveland, but he ultimately ends up going back to the ocean, like the quarantine crew were intending for him to be. Kinda ironic how things play out, am I right? And my god, the story itself I have to talk about. Because, well, yeah, it does borrow a few elements from the first movie with the whole traveling far to find something or someone. At least it's an original plot. Unlike... I don't even want to say it, but you get my point. The story follows Marlin, Nemo, and Dory's adventure to the Jewel of Morro Bay, California, and Dory's journey to find her parents after an incident with the passing stingrays on Nemo's school field trip, in which she actually remembers that. The story itself is told unbelievably well here. I love how tightly the subplot of Marlin and Nemo trying to get to quarantine tie in with also what's happening with Dory. Speaking of which, unlike how Mayton was handled in Cars 2, this movie successfully achieved the comic relief character being in the spotlight thing. Dory is our lead this time instead of Marlin, who, along with Nemo, are part of the B plot where they try and find Dory. While Dory is still the same old Dory we all know and love, we get to see more expansions to her. Like the scene at the beginning where we see a younger version of her, which admittedly is a cute scene. And then we get to see what happened when she got separated from her parents, and eventually forgetting them. This sequence where the young Dory tries to find her parents really made me emotional. You really feel her pain being separated for a long time. And we even get to see Dory's perspective before meeting Marlin. In the first movie, we all just assumed that Dory said that she just saw the boat that took Nemo just to make Marlin happy. But in this movie, we actually get to see her see the boat that took Nemo. This is such a clever scene. To whoever at Pixar thought of that deserves a pat on the back. And there are some moments where her motive of trying to get to her family does go a little awry. Like in the sequence with the whole abandoned area before the squid chase. And we even get some little moments where, once seeing something that she remembers, it transitions into a cute little flashback sequence to Dory's youngling years. Like while following the shells to her home. And the best of all, the I can't remember right flashback. Cause you all know why. We all know Dory's iconic Just Keep Swimming song from the first movie. And yeah, we can all agree that we, along with Dory, thought she just made it up in the first movie to give Marlin the motive to go into the pitch blackness to get the diver's mask. But they actually brilliantly set this all up in this flashback, as it was actually sung by Dory's parents. I love stuff like this. Seeing what became so iconic made for another purpose for a past sequence in another movie. Man, that... bravo to you, Pixar. Like, wow. And you really feel Dory's motive to try and find her parents. After the field trip scene, Dory says to Marlin that she actually misses them, which you can't really blame Dory for. If you've been apart for so long, there's nothing you can do about being apart. Trust me, I've been there with my real-life best friend in the past. And you really feel sad after she is sent down the pipes after thinking her parents are supposedly dead. Well, obviously, they're not. And the whole sequence of Dory reuniting with her parents, who by the way are named Jenny and Charlie, really brought a tear to my eye, accompanied by the wonderful score. And speaking of scenes, there are two key elements that I want to mention in terms of this movie's story. I love all of the callbacks to the first movie. You know me what I'm like with callbacks to past events in, well, anything. I mean, I loved it in Thomas, particularly in the Brenner era, and it's just as fun seeing this element here. I could go into all of us reference from the first movie, like in the beginning where Marlin recalls the shark sequence, and when Dory recalls the whale sequence when telling her parents about Marlin and Nemo, but I think we'd be here all day. And another is the emotion. I'm sorry, but you were emotional enough, and that incinerator scene from Toy Story 3 was sad and impactful, but holy god. This might just be the most emotional Pixar film I have ever seen so far. This godforsaken movie will just pull a scene that, well, nearly brings a tear to my eye. Like the reunion scene like I mentioned earlier, and especially the hype sequence where Marlin recalls everything that Dory has done in the past. I've talked about this scene in the past in my character highlight reel episode of the trio, and I pretty much feel the same way now that I've rewatched this film. It's probably the most emotional scene in this film, and probably the entire franchise in my opinion. And it hits hard when Marlin recalls the first movie, and I did hear a little Finding Nemo motif during this scene as well, which was something that I completely forgot was subtly included in the score for this film. This is really where Albert Brooks shines in this movie. His performance here makes it really impactful, and it makes it sadder when Nemo asks,
Dad, does this mean we have to say goodbye to Dory?
it's just so beautifully done. Christ on a bike! I did not expect to talk this much about a Pixar film for as long as I did. In fact, this is probably the longest I have talked about a Pixar movie up until now. But I really can't help myself. Finding Dory is truly a cinematic wonder in my opinion. It hits hard with its emotional and its amazing story. It has fun new characters, great expansions to the old characters, gorgeous animation, a beautiful score, and truly wonderful callbacks to the iconic first movie. Finding Dory may not be perfect, but holy damn, it is unbelievably close to being perfect. And this is how you make a sequel that took a very long time to actually release. It may have been 13 years at that point since Finding Nemo had come out, but that doesn't stop Finding Dory from living up to what made the original so fantastic, and for being a truly phenomenal sequel. Definitely one of my favorites in Pixar's library. But for tomorrow's video, guys, it will be the absolute cinematic peak of Pixar, with the movie that I've been wanting to get to since the very beginning of this marathon, Cars 3. I seriously cannot wait to dig into this thing. But be warned, I may get a little bit teared up from this movie. Why? Well, wait and see. It's gonna be one heck of an adventure though, so tune in to tomorrow's video.